Okay, welcome everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm assuming you can hear me. If there's any questions, feel free to include it in the chat. My name is Giovanna, and this short course is on self advocacy. Over the next half an hour or so, I'll walk you through the fundamentals of self advocacy and why it's so important for us to advocate for ourselves and give ourselves our own flowers. We are in a time where it's super important to advocate for yourself instead of just wait around for others to give you the things that you want. It's super important to get those things yourself. So we'll talk about that today. Let's get started. So, we will review what self advocacy is. We'll talk about the importance of self advocacy for women, particularly, and for women at work. And we'll review some tips for self advocacy. Again, if you have any questions as we go through this, feel free to include it in the chat. So, let's begin with defining self advocacy. Self advocacy is essentially the ability to speak up for yourself and the things that are important to you. And it's essentially a three-step process. You are identifying your needs, you're understanding what it takes to get those needs met, and then you're clearly communicating those needs. So, when you're advocating for yourself, you're doing those three things, sometimes without thinking about it, just unconsciously, but it's the process of advocating for yourself. So, let's see this example. Let's see this play out in an example. A simple example, you go to a restaurant and you order a veggie lasagna. When your order arrives, you realize you've been served a regular meat lasagna. So at this point, you have a decision to make. Will you attempt to rectify your order, or would you say nothing even though eating meat is against your values? So now you have to decide whether you're advocating for yourself or not. So you decide to speak up. Congratulations. At this point, you have chosen to advocate for yourself. And you go through the three-step process in your head. Step one, you identify your needs. In this case, is to receive the correct order, to receive your veggie lasagna. Two, you start to understand what you need to do to get those needs met. In this case, it's probably your best option is to notify the waiter. And the third step is to clearly communicate the situation. So you communicate what your needs are. You tell the waiter that this is not your correct order, and you specify what the correct order is. And there you go. You've self-advocated for yourself. So this is a simple example, something really easy. And at times it's more difficult. The matter at hand is a lot more difficult. It's more challenging. But you're going essentially through the same three-step process. You know, there's more challenging feelings. It becomes more difficult for you, depending on what the subject matter is. But the process remains the same. Questions so far? Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about why it's important to advocate for yourself. Self advocacy is not just about getting what you ask for. So if you want more money, if you want the correct food, for example, it's not just about that. Individuals who practice self advocacy are more likely to thrive, whether that be in school, at work, or in their life in general, because of a few things that happen when you advocate for yourself. Not only are you getting your needs met, but you're also getting increased confidence, you're getting increased self empowerment, improved communication, increased independence, improved problem solving abilities, increased self awareness, and overall awareness of your life and the things that you want and the needs of other people. So you become more expansive in your way of thought just by simply going out of your way to advocate for yourself as much as possible. Everybody wins, I think. So, as we see, it's very important to advocate for yourself, but it's particularly important to do it at work. Self-advocacy is important at work because if you wait around for others to take note of your accomplishments, you might never get recognized. This is the workforce has changed. It's not like 20, 30 years ago, where you did good work and then all of a sudden you'll be surprised with a promotion. It just doesn't work like that anymore. There's a lot of factors that go into the new work environment, and there's a lot of things that people are looking for, and sometimes it's so easy to get just overlooked that it's super important to speak up. And speaking up can be the difference between staying stagnant in a role that you hate or opening yourself up for more opportunities. We have to play a more active role in our careers. It's just not the same as before. The workforce has changed. Failing to advocate for yourself can result in being overlooked for promotions, increased compensation, or leadership opportunities. And it can negatively impact your job performance, your engagement, and your overall satisfaction at work. Questions so far? Great. So it's particularly important for women at work to advocate for themselves, specifically women of color. If you look at the numbers, women of color, particularly Black, Indigenous, and women of color by WOC, are consistently underpaid and underrepresented in leadership roles in the workforce. This is known as the gender and race wage gap, which is still very much alive. So let's take a look at the numbers. On average, for every dollar that a working white non-Hispanic male makes, women make the following. Women in general are making 82 cents. Black women are making 63 cents to the dollar. Black women are making 63 cents to the dollar, as we said. Indigenous Native American women, 60 cents. And then Latina women are the lowest paid across any demographic. They make 55 cents to the dollar. So half, basically half of what the white non-Hispanic male makes. So, based on these numbers alone, we can see that, there is a real problem out there. Women of color are not always given the recognition and the compensation that they deserve for sometimes doing similar or the exact same roles. This gap is estimated to close in 135 years. For Latinas, that's 185. So that means that in 185 years, Latinas will finally make the dollar equal to the dollar that white men are making. That's unacceptable, and it's too long of a wait. There are many organizations that are doing great work to increase pay transparency, promote equal pay, and pass the necessary legislation to help close the wage gap. So there's actual organizations out there that are doing work to pass laws such as pay transparency laws, where they've required jobs to note the salary in the job description when they post the job. The reason why that's helpful is that if you see when you're applying to a job that the base salary is $50,000, then when you interview and you get the role, they can't tell you, oh, we're going to pay you $40,000, because you already know, as per the job posting, that the base salary, the minimum that you can make in that position is $50,000. So it does give you more leverage. And it's something that I feel will help a lot of women of color. So the laws will actually help. The actual advocacy, and the actual work that grassroots organizations are doing will actually help. But one way in which we can move the needle as individuals, one way in which we can put our mark into this whole thing, in addition to joining those groups and keeping aware of the laws and stuff, is to advocate for ourselves, to confidently and proactively advocate for ourselves. If you continue to take lowball offers and not ask for more money, then it's going to become a trend. Then managers and human resource departments are going to see that as the norm. We can offer these women $10,000 less, $50,000 less, and they'll take it. That's going to be the trend. So the more and more that you speak up, the more and more that you counter offer, the more and more that you ask for more, then you're setting a standard that's going to help other women that come after you. So let's talk a little bit about how you can do this. Step one is to be self-aware. Recognize that discomfort around speaking up is normal. Sometimes when we have to speak up in situations like this, we get really nervous, our stomach hurts, we get butterflies, and it just feels like I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be speaking up because of the nerves and the feeling that you get when you think about speaking up. We have to recognize first and foremost that it's normal. It's normal to feel that way. It's not a natural thing to do, to go against the grain, especially if you're a woman of color or Latina woman. Particularly, oftentimes you're told not to make too much noise, not to not to go against, authority. You're told that you should be happy with what you have, that you should be lucky to have a job. So it's natural, it's normal to have discomfort when you are doing things like that because it's an act of rebellion, essentially. It takes a lot of courage. So it's normal to feel a little bit nervous and a little bit uncomfortable. So be aware of that. If you're feeling those feelings, those nerves, be aware of the fact that it's normal. Also, be aware of your inner thoughts. What's your inner monologue at the moment? What stories are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself that you're not good enough? Are you telling yourself that you're not going to get this promotion anyway? You're not going to get this salary increase anyway, so why bother? Pay attention to that narrative because that's going to help. It's going to show up when you speak up if you don't have the right attitude and the right mindset. So ask yourself, what are you telling yourself that's already defeating you? We all have self-doubts, but rather than accept the doubts as true, challenge them. If you notice that you're telling yourself, I'll never get this promotion, then challenge that. What else can you think? What else can be true in the situation? Is it possible that, yes, maybe I will get the promotion? What else can you tell yourself? What else can be true? So try to challenge those negative thoughts, those self-defeating thoughts, with thoughts that give you a different perspective. Your thoughts that focus on the possibility. Because there is a possibility, right? There's a possibility that you don't get the promotion, but there's a possibility that you do. Why not focus on, hey, maybe I will? Two is to recognize your value. Self advocacy includes knowing your worth and making it known, so do not downplay your accomplishments. Make a list of your strengths, your contributions, your areas of improvement, and what you've done to improve on them, the value you can bring to a situation, the impact you've had. Keep this list nearby for when you need the reminder. So don't downplay the things that you do. You're a capable professional, particularly in the workforce. Outside of the workforce, you're a capable human being that has accomplished things that, has good qualities. So don't downplay these things. These things are what make you unique. These things are what make you stand out. And if you don't feel like you have any redeeming qualities, then it's time to sit with yourself and understand what it is that is making you feel that way. So try to think about, just list the good things that you can about yourself and try to start there. Start in that point so that you can start believing it over time. We've all accomplished many things. We are all valuable. So don't downplay yourself. And knowing this can help you advocate for yourself because you know what you're capable of. You know that you're worthy. Step three is to be prepared. So when asking for what you want, you have to be clear and specific about it, which means that you have to do your research beforehand. You can't just ask for something without having the facts, without having done the work prior. So for example, if you want a raise, then you have to understand and you have to know beforehand what is the amount or figure that you would like. Is that standard for your field? Is that market industry standards for your particular role? Do your research. How, if you're in New York, How much are other people in New York across similar fields making for your same role? Do all that research so that you're prepared and you have the numbers to back you up. That's really helpful to have that. If you're not prepared, then it's going to be really easy for other people to challenge you. But if you know your facts, you know what you're coming with, and you've done the work, then you're just making it really easy for people to give you what you want. 4 is to align it to the bigger picture. It's important to realize that the things that you want don't just affect you, they affect the bigger picture. If you want a salary increase at work, if you want a promotion at work, that's not just going to impact you, that's going to impact the entire company, because now there's a leader in you that's going to align their task to organizational goals, and that is going to create more impact to the company. So align when you're asking for these things, align it to the organization. This is how my promotion can benefit you. This is how my promotion can benefit everybody. So anything that you want, for the most part, will probably affect the bigger picture. So it'll have an effect in the long run, in the long term, and it'll have an effect to the general population. So try to make those links so that people understand what's in it for them as well. Last tip is to not be afraid to fail. So like we mentioned, there's a 50-50 chance, right? There's a chance that you will not get what you asked for, and there's a chance that you will. But you have to be willing to take the chance that you won't get what you want. And that's tough. It's tough. Taking calculated risks is part of life, though. And everybody that has accomplished something has failed. If you fail, you will recover. If you don't get the raise, you will recover. If you don't get the promotion, you will recover. If you don't get the things that you're asking for, you will recover. You'll be fine. And at that point, you just have a decision to make. If you ask for promotion and you don't get the promotion, you can decide, do I stay here and maybe ask for it again in another year or so? Or or have I done everything I can and maybe it's time for me to start looking for new opportunities elsewhere? The thing is that asking for what you want, even if you fail, can really move you to a good place, because it can move you to take action. It can move you to the next steps. It can move you to the next sort of monkey bar in the bar to take you where you need to go. It can take you to the next branch in the tree. That will take you to the next branch. That will then take you to the next branch. So don't see it as a failure, and understand that there's the possibility that you won't get the things that you asked for just because you advocated for yourself. But don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of that failure. Lean into that. We all fail, and it just teaches you to be more resilient, and it benefits you in the long run. Questions so far? Okay, so I want to try one final exercise before we go. So I think it's important to recognize your value. Thank you. So I think it's super important to recognize your value, which is step number 2. So what I want to do is a quick little exercise where we are going to do one of two things. So the first step is to list 3 things that you have accomplished. So 3 accomplishments that you've had this year. Well, not this year. This year just started. Sorry. So it could be last year or the year before that, but list 3 accomplishments, and I'll write that in the chat. So take a minute to get a pen, a paper, or to open up a doc in your computer where you can write it. And I will give you 2 minutes to do that. So after 2 minutes, I'll come back with the second part of this exercise. So the first part is to list 3 accomplishments that you have done. Okay, one more minute to list your 3 accomplishments. If you're done, you can just say you're done, and then we can move on. Okay, excellent. So step 2 is to pick one of those accomplishments and write down 5 to 10 things that you did to make that accomplish happen. So 5 to 10 things that you actively did. So for example, if your accomplishment was that you graduated college or something, right? So 5 to 10 things that you did were that you woke up early to go to class. You made sure that you did all your homework. You took classes that were interesting to you. You participated in the class, and you make sure that you passed all your tests. So things like that you actively did. So I'm gonna write that in the chat as well. So step 2 is to pick one of your accomplishments and write 5 to 10 actions that you took to make that happen. So let's take 2 minutes to do that, and I'll come back after 2 minutes. Okay. Do you need more time? Okay. So perfect. So you're all set. Excellent. Thank you for participating and doing this activity. So the purpose of this activity is to sort of highlight the ways that we have advocated for ourselves in the past by taking action to get the things that we want. So we tend to think that all the good things that happen to us are like by sheer luck or something. Oh, I got a great job. I got lucky. I got lucky by getting the salary. I got lucky by getting a house, or all these things that you've accomplished, all the things that you've gotten. It's not by luck. You've done the work. And I think it's important to remind ourselves of that every so often, because if you've done the work before to make things happen for yourself, then you can do the work again. And that's why self advocacy is so important. That's why it's so important to assert your value. And that's why it's so important to ask for the things that you want and take the steps to get it, because that's how you get your accomplishments. So if you're ever feeling like, you can't do something, or, you can't accomplish something, or you can't speak up for yourself in terms of something, just remind yourself that you've done it before and that you can do it again. Was that exercise helpful at all? Well, I hope so. And I want to leave you with just one last thing. There is a platform that I'm starting called Good Energia. The website's still under construction, but you can, if you are on social media, you can follow us here at Good Energia. At Good Energia, which is our Instagram page. So feel free to follow us there. And if you have any questions at all, you can email me at giovanna.m.acosta@gmail.com. Um, in Good Energia, in our Instagram page, we'll be sharing things like this that have to do with self advocacy and self empowerment, and just, advocating for the things that you want and getting more abundance out of life. So we'll be sharing a lot of resources in the same light. So feel free to follow. And again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. So thank you again for your attendance. And I hope you have a really great day. And I hope that you continue to advocate for yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. But if not, you're all set. You too. Have a great day. Bye.